right, hello and welcome. How is everyone doing on this pretty good Tuesday, April the 27th? I hope that you are doing great, and um, I get the feeling that I missed something today. I get the strong feeling that I missed something today because everyone is calling me Matthew Taser Face Short Shanks. What,
Yeah.
what on
Yes.
earth have I missed, everyone?
Yeah, that's the name of your new Star Trek Online character, the anti-trucker created for you.
Oh, okay. So I did see a photo of that, but all it said at that time was Matthew. So the taser face short shanks is something I have not seen yet. Thank
Oh
you
yeah, he
so much
embellished
for
it a little
that.
bit after that.
Thank you so much for that. Oh, that is great. And thank you to 47 Yorktown spamming all about dolphins because everyone here knows how much I love flipping dolphins. Gosh, between Darwin and Echo, I have serious dolphin issues. And John with the spoilers. Alien Earth dolphins. Wow. Letting everyone know what this episode's going to be about, eh?
So you actually translated my emojis for once.
It did. It did it quite well, it looks like. And let's see. Yeah, and there's Josh calling me Matthew Taser very short saying, Rock Solid Productions, how you doing today? Saying Life with Matthew. Did I see the news? What news? The Taserface news? Apparently, yes. If you are talking about RetroTink 5X, pretty exciting stuff right there. Guys, if you don't know, I love to do random video game stuff, especially retro stuff, which is why I'm so thankful to Thomas Potts, even though Echo the Dolphin is so infuriating to me because it's such a hard game. I love it. It's an old Sega game, and I really enjoy getting to play it. Uh, it's one of those love hate relationships. I think I must be a masochist. I go biking for insane distances, and I play video games that beat me up. It's a
I think
problem.
you
I
think
need
about
help.
it more than they do.
Uh, thank you, Rock Solid Productions, saying I won't call you those nasty names. Thank you, Rock Solid. But so I
That's
love to
all
do
right.
stuff like
The
this.
rest of us will.
Yeah, yes. There will be many
No
people pick up your
rewards in
slack.
life, this.
Uh, and oh gosh, thank you, little old lady. Oh, gosh, this little old lady. I scared her half to death a week ago on a bike ride. Politely telling her I'd be on her left as I passed her. She was so scared I stopped. I had to stop in my tracks, apologize to her for scaring her so badly before continuing. But she has it out for me now. She wants my blood. But she says, little old lady, your name is Shortshanks, you scum. You said it was Bennett. Well, next time I see you, I'm going to shank you, you slime ball. That's why I don't go biking on that route anymore. I've definitely changed things up so very much. But I was trying to say, uh, Rock Solid Productions, he has been my inspiration for getting back into retro gaming and for starting to mod things again. And very exciting news that the RetroTink 5X is out. It is a device that upscales your your video from the old 240p that like the Nintendo had under good scenario, even the 480p that like the GameCube had, and it moves it to a resolution that is more acceptable. It does it primarily by line doubling. So it just takes one line and it doubles it. And apparently they have a 5x now, which I will look extremely forward to seeing that in action because I heard that it was out today, but I haven't gotten a chance to see how it works. But I do look extremely forward to that. And let's see. Short Shanks, yes. Rock Solid Production saying I'm late. Bird is late. I mean, Matthew's late. No, no, no. Well, actually, yeah, I was late. I wasn't quite ready for the stream. Sorry, everyone.
I mean, Captain Shortshanks was late.
Yes, Captain Short Shanks was late. Thank you to Cinnabon saying hello. Josh Street calling me Short Shanks over on Twitch. So glad that you're there. And Michael Crawford, I do believe that is the anti-tracker, perhaps, saying, "Woohoo! We are raging." Well, I hope we at least
Just
won.
have a good night.
What's that?
Saying have a good night, Anti-Trucker. Looks like he's taking off.
Okay. Yes, do please have a good night. And I hope that after you made Captain Matthew Shortshanks, I hope that Matthew Taserface Shortshanks, I hope we at least won.
Well,
And
Tilly was
Robert
showing him around last I checked, so may not
Okay.
have it going up for very long.
Very good. Robert Rose Jr., how you doing? Anti-Trucker is saying, I'm the first avocadoid ever in Star Trek. Starfleet. I can read, I swear. Fun fact, his head does look much like an avocado, and his brain is the pit. Yes, except unlike an avocado that has a solid surface, I just have an empty hole where my brain should be. And Lancer737 saying, I'm hosting you on Twitch. Thank you very much for that, Lancer. I need to set up some alerts such that I can actually see that. I'm failing in my streaming abilities. And Black Knight Leader, thank you so much for following. Glad that you will be around. I hope that we put on a fun little stream here for you. Or for all y'all. I say for you, but maybe I should be honest. I have fun doing this, and this is a lot, in a lot of ways, just for my enjoyment. And I'm glad you guys come along for the ride. And I'm so glad that John spurred me to do this by his love for SeaQuest. So I'm glad you guys are along for this.
So the words I nagged him until he watched it.
It didn't take that long. I think you mentioned it, and I said, "Oh, we should do this." So you didn't twist my arm hard, as I recall. But I also recall that Balana's last name is Troy. So I mean, take my memory for what you will. Rock Solid Productions saying he's also out. Wanted to make sure I saw the news. Thank you so much for that. And there is a video on his channel, which Rock Solid Productions, if you are still around, by all means, please drop a link to your channel so that people can go over and see the amazing news about the RetroTink 5X and get all your other great content on just, I say it's retro video gaming stuff, but he has a lot of great stuff on like Switch docks and modding your systems so they can be used on, big screen TVs without looking like crap. So there is so much stuff. So please, Rock Solid, if you're still around, drop that in there. And if you're not, if one of the mods would be so kind as to do that for him, I'd really appreciate that. So while that's going on, let me explain to you the way that this works. Since I guess it is still available on Peacock TV. So if you're here in the future and you want to watch this with us, John DiMarco and I are going to provide a running commentary on what's going on and just kind of talking about some of the lines they drop. We won't be perfect about line for line what they're saying, but we're at least going to try and give you the overview. In addition to that, I will have some clips playing right below me right here. And that way, if all you have is one device like your cell phone, you can at least see some references of the stills for what's going on in the video. If, however, you are watching this live with us right now, I am going to drop a link to our streaming channel. And so what this is over on sci2.be. They have it set up so that we can all watch this synchronized together, plus or minus a couple seconds maybe. And that way you can see what we see just about as we are seeing it. It's very convenient like that. So we'll pontificate up here for a few minutes, then come join us over in sci2.be/r/LifeWithMatthew, and you will be able to see SeaQuest live. And of course, for everyone else, go to Peacock TV, sign up for their free account. I don't know why they do it for free, but I'm thankful that they do. And you can watch all 3 seasons of SeaQuest DSV/SeaQuest 2032. And please do excuse me and my green tea. It's a little late for it, but I really enjoy having some green tea at the end of the day, so I will be slurping on this for the next few minutes.
And meanwhile, Thomas is pointing out all those other times you were dishonest, and that this sounds like witchcraft.
It's true. I am a Kurogan. I am not known for my honesty, but I am honest about my dishonesty. So figure that one out, Norman. And it is witchcraft. I didn't make the witchcraft, but I do believe it is witchcraft. The way that people have been able to program this stuff. I do little hobbyist programming stuff, and when I see a real programmer's code, I go for the security blanket and a cup of coffee, and I say, that's it. I'm done. There's no way I can keep up. And also, at some point this evening, I may have to duck out. I got both my kids' monitors, or both. I have 3 kids, but both of their monitors are up right now. So if one of them wakes up, I may have to run out. But in that case, John DiMarco he'll take over. So no pressure there, John, if that happens.
And in that case, we'll be in real trouble.
And Thomas Potts, of course you heard me slurp. I went right into the microphone and gave it a nice, good slurp. And that is another article. Oh gosh. So for those who don't know, there is a link to my Discord. You know what? I don't think I have it over on Twitch. I apologize. I'll get that over on Twitch. It may be in the About Me section. If it's not, I'll try and get it there at some point in the next couple days. But in the description of YouTube, there is a link to Twitch or to my Discord server. And over on Discord, I have an ever-growing list of infractions that are going to get me impeached out of my own Discord server. So I'm up to 493 impeachment articles. And at some point, allegedly, they're going to actually do something with these articles and impeach me, or at least hold a trial. And we need Andrea Seabrook. Hopefully she's around, because I do believe she is the Grand Madam Wicket for all this. And without her, I'm not sure how we can do this.
Indeed.
So with all that said, let's go ahead and launch into today's stream. I think we've given everyone just enough time to come join us over in sci2.be. I don't know why they don't just call it scitube.com, but it is sci2.be. So come join us over there. Everyone should be here who wants to be here, and we will go ahead and get this started. And by all means, if for some reason I have screwed up yet again, and you can hear my audio, please let me know so that YouTube doesn't strike us, or not strike us, but give me a content match warning. And I'll actually say this: I had a warning before I got this set up, and NBC called it out and said, "Well, you're using our, steals from our show," and I actually contested it. Just said, "Hey, I'm just providing reference stuff," and they actually released it in a couple days. NBC was incredibly cool about it, which I don't know why more places aren't like that. I mean, we're giving them free advertising for their service and promoting their shows. It's 100% free advertising. You can't buy this stuff. So I wish more networks were like that, but I guess at the same time, CBS isn't putting out quality shows, so no one's talking great things about Discovery. So they're pretty draconian in their application of it. And that's some shots fired right there, which is why I guess I can never do one of these for CBS. So let's give a 5 count.
Come after you now.
They will. They absolutely will. But here's a 5 count for everyone who in the future wants to see where we're at. So in 5, when I get to 0, by all means hit the play button and you'll be mostly synced up with us. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play. And make sure that the clips are going. Okay, so one of the things about this episode is, they're scanning the abyss, this abyss, for something or other. And just kind of spoiler, in last season, they had an episode where some aliens showed up. And it turned out the only person able to speak to the aliens was, of course, Darwin, because Darwin's able to do everything. He can see the future. He's telepathic. He can give people dreams. Darwin is way overpowered. So it turned out that the aliens were, it was like a hologram, John?
It's amazing.
An amazing hologram.
Yes, it was some kind of hologram, but it involved silicone, I believe.
Yes, that's right. And it would be able to pass through walls, but it left some silicone behind. So it was something between a hologram and a physical object. So at the end of the episode, they decided to send SeaQuest, they were able to communicate through Darwin, and they sent a message to the stars saying, "We invite you back to Earth." So that's kind of some background you need to know for this episode as it gets going. So they launched this thing called an SDI, and that's what we've been watching it spinning around in the ocean here. And I wish Darren was around. He might be able to tell us what SDI even means. Like maybe it's an active sonar thing. But they launch it, they discover this thing, and they say, yeah, he knows he wasn't supposed to launch in this area, but he did it because there's a traitor aboard SeaQuest. And so here we see SeaQuest, they were in dry dock, which is very rare for them to ever be in dry dock, but I guess they're still kind of doing the shakedown stuff. So the UEO comes barreling down into the SeaQuest. Everyone's armed. Bridger is pissed. But here we identify who's the traitor. And of course, it's Darwin. Darwin is the traitor for SeaQuest.
Surely not. There must be some mistake.
I believe it. That dolphin is always scheming something. My big question is
that one guy from the UEO.
Go on.
That one guy from the UEO is wearing a beret, so you know he's serious.
That's true. The more serious a military person becomes, the fancier headgear they get. I'm pretty sure it goes no headgear, ball cap, beret, and then the ranger hat from Full Metal Jacket, the one that the drill sergeant is yelling people at.
Yes, I think Darwin was framed by Matthew Shortshanks. Sounds like the kind of thing he would do.
It is the sort of thing I do. Let's be honest. That is 100% the thing I would do. Freaking Darwin. So Bridger's trying to get a hold, or he's been trying to get a hold of Lucas just for hours. So Lucas, Piccolo, and this guy, they call him Pre-K, or his name's Dagwood, but they refer to him as like Pre-K or something in this show, or in this episode. But they went off on shore for something to eat, and now they can't get a hold of anyone. And at the same time, the GPS is down, which seems physically impossible considering GPS is just a radio signal being sent out by satellites. But apparently they need an internet connection for their GPS to work. In fact, Piccolo, he offers Lucas a map disk. And, Lucas is very disdainful about, map disks, who uses that? But Lucas, he almost runs over this poor Indian guy who was just standing in the middle of the road. And they're trying to talk to him, but he's just sitting there like a bump on a log. Which it makes no sense. I mean, I guess I find the wise but silent Native American kind of insulting stereotype that Hollywood does all the time.
Not racist enough for you, Matthew?
It, it's it's one of those polite racisms, you know, like the idea that all Indians are just these peaceful, wise sages and New Ageism. It's like that's still a painting with a super broad brush. That's kind of, even though you're being polite, it's still kind of racist.
Meanwhile, Darwin is in dolphin jail, apparently.
Oh yeah, Beret Man. He's talking about how uh, we know he's talking to someone, and they really skipped over that. They didn't talk about it at all. How he figured it out, where this, what this probe was even looking for in the trench. They really yada yada past everything just to get to, there's a signal, we know it's there, and we know Darwin's the one communicating with them. And Thomas giving a face palm for what? The racist comment? But Darwin is tight-lipped because everyone at the end of the season 1 episode swore they would never ever reveal to anyone that they invited aliens to the planet, and they didn't tell the UEO about it. So Bridger says, maybe if you guys leave, Darwin will talk to me. And I mean, it's not like I'm gonna slip a nail file inside a tuna fish. So they leave, and immediately Darwin reveals to him that it's the aliens are here. And Bridger's, he's understandably worried because he lied to the UEO about it, and he knows that he's going to be quite in trouble for this. Like, I guess he wasn't expecting them to show up so soon. It was just a year ago, and by his reckoning. Yeah, and this is the same general who I actually think it was such a long time ago. It's only because couldn't stream last week. But this is the guy who in last episode helped the what do they call them? The Gelfs, who helped them out and was kind of a traitor, giving them the access to the defense satellite that they used to blow up the air purifiers. And of course, all Bridger's worried about is getting the dolphin back.
Oh, but his buddy the astronaut's back.
I like that character.
Yeah,
I think
like
his last name's McLeod. Anyone with the last name McLeod can't be bad. I think there can only be one McLeod. They give us a super quick summary that I've already given here on, exactly what these aliens were, and also just some of the risks associated with them that they hadn't quite gotten around to talking about. And they had some sort of risk device that deionize people. At least they say deionize people in this episode. But in the last episode that they had the aliens, it seemed like it just transported them to an empty part of the ship, like a jail. Cinnabon Bunny saying, why not a Class A, what, misdemeanor? Class A what? Oh, no, wait, Class A what? Thomas Paz saying, I thought that's his name until I said it. Or am I confusing you now with actually calling Lucas Lucas? I try to keep you off your try to keep you on your toes there, Thomas.
If you're referring to the actor, I think his last name is McCord.
Yes, McCord, that's it. So unfortunately, Piccolo and Dagwood are being kicked off the ship. That this is too classified, too high security to let Piccolo, who is Prisoner. Uh, he's a prisoner. He's on parole, provided he keeps his nose clean. And they assigned him here because he can breathe underwater. He has gills. And then I guess they don't like Dagwood because he's a Gelf. They're still being kind of biased against Gelfs.
Yes, and as Thomas said, Matthew got it wrong, so all is well.
I try to be consistent. I don't try to be consistent. I just am consistent in getting people's names wrong. Truck Reviewer is saying that the astronaut's real name is Kent McCord. He played Officer James Reed in the late 60s, early 70s police show Adam 12. I know Adam 12. That's cool. He also played John Crichton's dad in Farscape. Robert Green wants to know, has Dom DeLuise made a guest appearance in the series yet? I see his two sons are on this show. You are correct, Robert. Piccolo and Dagwood are both DeLuise boys. And I don't think Don DeLuise has...
Not yet.
He may have been somehow associated with the music? Like, he's not the guy who made the music, but I swear we've seen his name a couple times in the credits. But I mean, I also swear that Lana's last name is Troy, so again, with my memory and names, and maybe you shouldn't trust that. But they send out a message to the aliens saying that they're ready for them, and apparently the aliens are just right here. They're ready to go. And opening the window, they see that the ship is rectangular. It's a basic enough ship design. It's kind of Borg-like in appearance.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like somebody sat on a Borg cube.
When was the first appearance of the Borg? Was that in season 1 of Star Trek?
The Borg was the first episode of season 2 of TNG.
That's the first one with the Borg. Okay, but that would have been 88, 89. So yeah. This came out in 94. So yeah, that definitely looks like they took some notes from the Borg here. And Trucker Fury is saying that Kent McCord, not McLeod, also played the same James Reed in the shows Dragnet and Emergency. I loved Dragnet. That was one of my favorite parts of the old Nick at Night block. Get Smart, Dragnet. Those are my two favorites. But here we got the aliens. Dramatic reveal. And frankly, stark naked when you stop to think about it. But they definitely got the astronaut walk down. Let's see, Bradley Briggs is saying the first Borg episode was the one where Q showed them the dangers of being adventurers in a universe they didn't know. Yeah, he flung them across the universe. Picard finally had to break down and ask for help. And that was, you said season 2, episode 1, John?
Well, it wasn't episode 1, but yeah, it was in season 2.
Okay. Not to be confused with the episode with the Traveler, where they were flung halfway across the galaxy.
Didn't they go to another galaxy entirely in that one?
I think so. This lieutenant is incredibly out of line so often throughout this episode. Like you just can't imagine a real military officer getting away with things he does and not getting reprimanded for it. But he pulls a gun on the aliens because they have a hoop that they're pulling off their arm. And it turns out this little hoop thing, like a crown he puts on his head, lets them telepathically communicate. And the humans are extremely demanding. The lieutenant guy who pulled the gun, he demands that they take off their armbands. You know, the ones that let them deionize people and heat their gun up. And he's also going to inject them with barium so that they can track them wherever they go. Truck Fury is saying that he did not know it was part of the Nick at Night. The first time I saw it was in late 90s on the channel TV Land. You know, Truck Fury, maybe that's where I saw it. I just kind of associate the two things together in my mind. Which, you know, now that you're saying that, it probably was the TV Land block I saw it on, along with I Love Lucy and just all those classics. The Newhart Show. Yeah, and they're being more demanding. The aliens are just giving them so much leeway here. They let them take their weapons, they let them track them, and now they're letting them have access to their cockpit so he can actually snoop around and see their technology. While at every turn, the humans are just being complete jerks to the aliens.
I suppose from their point of view, they're so advanced that the humans are really no threat to them.
I mean, that's true, especially when we see some stuff later on. The humans definitely are laughably out of their depth. But they've cordoned off this like this huge area around the UEO. They've come up with this fake chemical spill that the UEO has to go in there and clean out the hazardous waste. So this entire area has been evacuated so that no humans can see that there's aliens in this area. But they've brought the aliens onto the UEO base so that they can talk with them. Thomas Potts is saying that Nick at Night came before TV Land. They moved a lot of old shows over to TV Land. That's true. I have zero idea which I have zero idea which one I saw it on. I mean, I can't even be relied on to remember basic names, so now I think
This guy's a
Lieutenant's
real piece of work.
he is, but I think he's also right. He was just saying that there's no such thing as a being in this universe that doesn't know what fear is, and they just need to find what it is so they can exploit it. And I kind of feel like by the end of the episode, we find out that the aliens are maybe a little bit afraid. And apparently, the aliens have both male and female organs. And the Troy replacement of this show, B'Elanna Troy here, she's talking about how like they're perfect life forms basically. Somehow they're moving from organic to silicone based life forms. All their organs are perfectly in tune. And Thomas is saying he used to watch I Love Lucy with his grandma Nick at night. Lucille Ball was hilarious. And here we're asking for knowledge. Please give us everything you know. Let us jumpstart the world here. You guys are so far advanced than us. And Balana Troying it up. The aliens are doing this big speech about how they're just here looking for the beginnings of intelligent life. Like they're basically saying we are so less intelligent than they are that they don't really consider us to be intelligent life forms yet.
Well, to be honest, some of the stuff the humans have done so far wouldn't exactly impress them, I would think.
Yeah. And Balana Troy over here, they're telling her to stop wasting her time, and she's trying to invade their mind. She's a psychic who gets in people's brains, and she was trying to force her way in because she's a jerk. She's a jerk. Sorry, I'm making sure everything's fine there. Okay, good. And Brad's saying, I'd fear humans too if I was an alien. Or if I was an alien, humans have nuked their own world. That's scary, very scary. There was an Isaac Asimov short novel called The Watchers or The Gentle Watchers, something like that, in which they found out there was an alien race who would observe civilizations as they developed because every civilization nuked itself at some point. And after they nuked themselves, these aliens would come in and help people rebuild society because after the nuke situation, they would they'd be a beaten society, so they'd be more malleable, and humans weren't doing it. So they were trying to decide whether or not they needed to set off the Cold War in order to break humanity such that they could come in. And they ended up not doing it because they beam up some human, and the human compares them being vultures. This whenever a creature wouldn't die, a vulture will actually come down and start pecking it to death to kill it quicker. But the point being, Bradley, that I think they're right that on the quest of advancement and the militarization of technology, it's kind of inevitable for a species not to nuke themselves. And the general is saying that they're going to steal their spacecraft. If the aliens aren't more forthcoming in the next 24 hours, they're going to remove the ability for the aliens to even get on their spacecraft. And the aliens know what's going on. They're like, they actually asked them, why aren't you letting us leave the base? And they try to hem and haw, but I mean, the aliens just proved that they're even more psychologically superior than we are. So they know what's up.
Well, they've apparently found a kindred spirit in Lewis here.
Good old Lewis. I guess from their perspective, the reason why they aren't more concerned about everything humanity's doing, the taking of the armbands and stuff, it's like if I found a dog on the side of the road and was like, well, is this a good dog? Should I rescue him? Kind of situation. And maybe he nips at me a little bit, but he's not He's not like being super aggressive toward me. I might put up with a little nipping as he gets to know me. I feel like if I was Lewis, I'd have so many more questions with that. Like the alien just shows up in my room in the middle of the night and takes me by the hand and starts leading me somewhere. I'd have questions. And of course, the aliens, despite the beryllium, despite being monitored 24/7, they just they just completely leave. It's kind of like the episode of Stargate, where the humans who were way more advanced than we were, they were in the bunker, and then they just like walk out of there. They can walk right through walls or something because they're getting a triangulation from the stars, and they just like, we can leave whenever we want. So Ford and I don't recognize this other guy, but they're looking for Lewis right now, trying to figure out what happened to him, and I guess also, what's up with the aliens.
Oh yeah, the other guy's Brody.
Oh, is that Brody?
One from the first episode. Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, the guy who was kind of a jerk to Ford.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, I just haven't gotten used to him yet. And Lewis is acting extremely strange. And they can't find one of the aliens. The aliens just kind of look at Brody and Ford, and they are instantly just dazed. And then they're possessed. The aliens possess, apparently, Lewis, Ford, and Brody. Hey, Daniel's Hot Topic. How you doing?
I'm sure that won't cause any problems at all.
And they're trying to figure out what happened to these burns, and well, what did cause the ground to get burned like that? Is that an after effect of being possessed?
Possibly.
And Thomas Potts is letting Daniel know that I like to be called Matthew Taserface Short Shanks. Fake news. Fake news. And Daniel just finished watching Aquaman. It was a good movie. I am very glad you liked it. I think it was definitely one of the top 2 DC EU movies from what I've heard.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite from the DCEU.
Now, this scene would be so different if this show was made today. You have Ford driving a car with unlicensed plates, like classified UEO plates. And they ask to see his registration and conveyance data. And he just casually reaches into his back pocket and pulls out his wallet. I mean, can you imagine doing that scene with a white cop pulling over a black man today? There's no way this scene would happen this calmly. It's weird because apparently the UEO is not allowed in this area. Like, I don't quite get what they're going for with that, but for some reason they're telling Ford that he needs to turn around and get out of here because UEO is not allowed here, and his co-cop does nothing. He got shot, and she just stood there.
Meanwhile, they're examining Darwin's new tattoo that recently appeared, apparently.
And the fact that it just so happens to match the drawings that Dagwood was making at the restaurant. restaurant. And Dagwood's back on SeaQuest. Bradley Briggs is saying they pull the scene off so well in Men in Black 3. Is that the one where Will Smith goes back in time? If so, I remember the general plot line, but I don't remember that scene. And Blana Troy is speculating, correctly of course, that the aliens were sending a message ahead of themselves, and Dagwood and Darwin were two people who were able to pick up this message.
They ask O'Neill, and apparently he recognizes the pattern from some ancient Central American civilization.
They want to know if he can read it, and he goes, "What? Can I read this language? I'm not that dull." And then everyone just kind of stares at him. He's like, "Am I?" Bradley Briggs is saying that apparently Will Smith did get pulled over by two white cops in a nice car. It's super funny. I don't remember that. I believe you, but I just don't remember it. It's a Native American guy. The aliens wanted to come find their Indian friend.
It must be the sky spirits.
Clearly it is. The ones that they drew all those, or made all those nice giant pictures down in South America for.
Well, this is more confirmation that SeaQuest and Star Trek are in the same universe. The guy's clearly Chakotay's ancestor.
There you go. Yeah, he's just lacking the little face tattoo.
Well, we got the tattoo on Darwin. Just got to move it back onto the people and be all set.
And so there you see more of the drawings. This guy has the tattoo and Dagwood drawings on this shawl they just put on him. And never says a word, but he is super excited that the aliens are here. You see him just smiling so happily. And he raises his arms to worship the great sky spirits. And down come two more of them? Three more.
Three more. And counting.
4? I was gonna say if they had stopped at 3, now we got 5. Maybe I could see that the 3 were just like holograms the whole time. Oh, I was wrong. He does talk. He just talks in generic Indianish.
Yeah, Brad, there's a lot of sci-fi stuff, especially in this season.
Now Ford wants to get out of Dodge, but Lewis is insisting that they should stick around because he can be trusted, or the aliens can be trusted. But can they? Because we see them lowering this strange device from their ship. And this was an interesting thing Ford did. Ford just he took Indian lands down in Florida. He just said, yeah, yes, past American government said you could have this, but those documents are invalid. Sorry. And apparently the symbol represents some sort of Temekian prophecy, and it's their last supper where it somehow represents the end of everything, which, while O'Neill may be a fantastic linguist, he is pretty lacking on his biblical knowledge, because that is not anything to do with the Last Supper at all. But then the aliens actually get aggressive. They blow up the helicopter. They don't just like deionize it. They blow it up. But thankfully they transport Briggs and McCord and the lieutenant before they do it. At least they're nice like that.
And Tom was mentioning that Tom was saying that this is one of the reasons that Roy Scheider eventually left the show. Yeah, he didn't like the high concept science fiction type stuff.
Which is a pity. I felt like he's been a really good, strong character.
I agree.
And McCord is saying that whatever is in this object is 3 degrees above absolute zero, which I don't think you could measure it like that. But okay. And he thinks it somehow represents the beginning of life, and he speculates that like maybe what the aliens are going to do is destroy all life here and start over, which bold assumption there. But it's just an alien, a dead alien. At least I think it's a dead alien.
That's what it looks like.
Because I was thinking maybe it might be one of the rubber tree people ancestors, but it has more pronounced ridges. Oh yeah, they say that their leader's death. So apparently, their own actions ended up destroying their planet, and the leader had this hope that someday they'd be able to find a species that could somehow help them re-engineer themselves and kind of propagate their race again. Which I don't know, that seems like that's kind of what they did in Earth Final Conflict. Or not Earth Final. Yeah, Earth Final Conflict, the Gene Roddenberry show.
Yeah.
And Lewis is being invited to go with them, kind of like Wesley Crusher and the Traveler. And Bridger's jealous, which I don't know, if an alien came to you when you were 16, 17 years old and asked you to go with them, what would you have said, John?
I said thanks, but no thanks. I think I'm going to stick
Really?
around here for a while. Yeah. I'm not that adventurous, honestly, in real life.
At 16 or 17, I think I would have jumped on that. I would have been all about going on an adventure. Assuming I thought the aliens were safe. You know, if it was a bunch of Borg type aliens, I think I'd pass and then not be given the choice of passing. But both Wesley and Lewis, when given the opportunity to have just the adventure of a lifetime, far beyond what anyone of their time could ever experience, they both say no. But in both cases, the alien promises, we'll be back. We promise you. And they say, well, how can we go on from this point? You know, how are we going to live with this knowledge? And they say, once we're gone, you'll understand. And then they hug Lewis. Kind of have an E.T. moment here. And Bradley is on Team Taserface. He says, want to go with us? Me? Why, yes. Why did it take you so long to ask? So I kind of got the impression that what they were saying is those 8 aliens represent everything of their race.
Seems like it.
And off goes what was ultimately just a shuttle pod. Like, it was a giant shuttle pod, but as far as the aliens were concerned, that was just the shuttle pod making its way out of there. And the general, of course, wants to shoot it down. And they're like, shoot what down? It's gone. And
the Borg rectangle takes off and leaves.
Yeah, is that kind of, you think, a Space Odyssey 2001 reference? Giant flat obelisk?
Perhaps.
And we see everything going backwards, the waves crashing in reverse, time reversing, the sun going from setting to rising instead of rising to setting. And the aliens again say, once we leave, you'll understand, as waterfalls move up and time goes back. And we're back at the beginning of the episode. Darwin is saying that the invitation has been accepted. They are on their way. The aliens were supposed to be here 2 minutes ago, but then they're gone. And Lewis is nowhere to be found. What's going on? We're opening the window, we thought they were here, and then just poof, gone.
Gone. Kind of like Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah, more than Taserface, I would accept the moniker of Nightcrawler. I'm here 1 second, bam, I'm gone. So Piccolo's back. He thought he was gonna, be kicked off the sub for a long time, but they immediately call him back because the aliens left.
Yes, I do suspect, Thomas, that Matthew, Taserface, Shortshanks did break the episode.
And the infection is gone. Bridgers is shocked. The doctor said it was supposed to take 48 hours, and then, poker face Lewis over here. He's just the worst liar. He's like, well, yeah, 48 hours, yeah. And, Bridger's like, well, what aren't you telling me? And, Lewis, he says, well, express my condolences to the Admiral. And Bridger's like, what, for what? He goes, well, I know he's about to be really disappointed. And they get the score from a baseball game the Admiral was keeping track of throughout the episode. And he finds out that the Admiral's team lost, or General, whatever. So Bridger knows that Lewis is hiding something from him. But he's the cool dad. He doesn't care when he finds a condom in his son's wallet. Literally happened. And then Lewis gives a knowing smirk to the camera, and we see the sky spirits leave a swirl design in the stars, and we get the crying Indian trope. the one tear coming down his cheek. Because the aliens
I
did
mean,
not come and keep their promise in this timeline.
you should be grateful, Matthew, for they're showing such a great honor and respect to your heritage.
Are they though? I don't feel like they are. I feel like they're just making a cheap wise man trope. I wonder if this is how like the Tibetan monks feel whenever you do the wise monk trope. She literally
Meanwhile, we're getting a
is.
little documentary about manatees. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as she leans over in this low cut shirt, she literally is the Troy of this series.
Yep.
Well, John, how did you enjoy tonight's episode?
I thought it was fun for the most part.
Yeah. Did you have any
Sorry, I'm
parts?
blank.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, I was blanking out.
Oh, no worries. Oh, you saw me on the pub last night. I certainly understand blanking out. So I thought it was a fun episode too. I actually really enjoyed the fact that they took the premise from season 1 with the aliens someday coming back and went ahead and made good on that. While at the same time, they left it open ended for them to possibly come back again in a future episode because they promised they would. And the poor Indian man is waiting for them to. So I did like that. And in terms of meh, it wasn't the best paced episode. They kind of drug some things out, but it was still fun. Like that's really just me being nitpicky to be nitpicky.
Yeah, I
Track
like that.
reviewer. All right, go on, John.
Yeah, I like that. Astronaut Buddy Scott was back. I think he's a fun character as well.
Yeah. And the Trek reviewer wants to know, would I rather she be the Pulaski of the series? Yes, I would.
Oh, absolutely. That would be much better.
Because in a lot of ways, Dr. Westphalen was kind of the Pulaski of the episode or of the series, and I really enjoyed her. And the relationship that developed between Bridger and Pulaski was very rewarding, very well done throughout the season. And then it's almost like they're just trying to be like, okay, remember that relationship building, except just apply it to uh, whatever her name is, Troy. Pulowski. Did I say Pulowski?
You said it weird, that was for sure.
I feel like Yosef is gonna give me a hard time for not being able to pronounce European names, Eastern European names. Yeah, Pulowski. I kind of feel like they're trying to build some tension between Bridger and B'Elanna Troy. I don't know if they're gonna go anywhere with that, but I definitely feel like they're trying to make them flirt. And I would much rather have Dr. Westphalen back.
So would I.
See, Robert Rose Jr. is saying their ships were very Borg-like looking, and they can also manipulate time. Also, it's true. Their ships were interesting. Like I got so many different vibes from them, and I guess once you get to the point where it's like, oh well, it reminds me of the obelisk from Space Odyssey 2001. It reminds me of the Borg cubes. It reminds me of the whale probe, kinda. You know, this large imposing structure that speaks to a sea mammal. It's like once you get that many points, it's like, well, you know what? Maybe they had a unique thing that just there's a lot of tropes in space sci-fi, and you're gonna hit a lot of them at times.
Oh, it says you're thinking of Nancy.
Nancy Pelosi.
All right.
Combining Pulowski with Pelosi, yeah, that must be it. Well, was there anything like super negative or just kind of you thought they could have done better in this episode, John?
Not super negative, really. The Lieutenant Beret was kind of cheesy after a while.
Sure.
I mean, I guess he was kind of fun in small doses, but I guess maybe he went a little bit overboard there.
I would have liked to see just a tiny bit more explanation on how they even knew to be looking for this at the beginning of the episode. Like they gave a real quick setup of we're searching for something in this trench, and we're not allowed to go into this sector. And the guy's like, "Well, I have the authorization to go wherever the hell I want, basically." And he hits a button and launches it into this restricted area, and finds whatever they're looking for. And whatever they're looking for, he knew was looking for SeaQuest, and he knew that at that point there's already at that point he knew there was a traitor, that it was Darwin aboard the SeaQuest, which authorized him to launch this. And maybe that all makes sense, but I feel like there's just a piece of dialogue or two to give context to that, to explain why he knew all this at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, they could have explained that better.
But that said, that's a nitpick on my part. That's something that's meh for me. And goodness knows, Star Trek, especially TNG, relied heavily on the captain's log to start an episode, to give you an info dump to set up the episode you're about to watch. So, like, I can't fault them too much for kind of yada-yadaing over some stuff at the beginning of the episode, but I do wish we'd just been given just a sentence or two more to explain it. It kind of give me some context. And hey, multi-gunman, how's it going? It is going well, and thank you, Thomas, for letting him know that my name now is apparently Matthew Taserface Shortshanks, which everyone can thank Michael J. Crawford, the anti-trekker, for that little piece of joy. Hey, Chief Cook, how you doing? Glad to see you here. I hope that you have been lurking and were able to see the stream. If not, I hope that you were able to go back and enjoy it at your leisure.
And Robert mentions that the helicopter they blew up looked a lot like Airwolf.
Oh, true. You know, now that you say that, Robert, it makes me think that the shot they did was very similar to the helicopter shot they did in the episode with William Shatner. I wonder if they just kind of reused some footage. It makes sense.
Yeah, I think they did.
I mean, why even bother to spend money shooting a helicopter scene if you're not going to get the most out of that scene? Use it again and again.
Exactly.
And Thomas Potts is saying that he said call the alien Matthew, and the others other people added the other parts. Excuse me, not Potts. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for getting the ball rolling for me to become a avocado. What's the name of that alien? Avocadoid?
Yeah, avocadoid, I think.
Avocadoid. Named Matthew Taserface Shawshank. Why Shawshank? Are we going redemption on me? Shawshank redemption?
Short shanks. Because he has really short legs.
I can't even keep my own name right. Amazing. And also surprised y'all know I have short legs. Well done on that, whoever knew that little fun detail.
See, we're always thinking of you.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I got short stubby legs, but a long torso, because, well, why not? When God put me together, he said this will be a good combo for Matthew. Matthew Taserface Short Shanks. Oh gosh. Well, final thoughts here, John.
Like I said, I thought it was a fun episode. Probably wasn't their greatest, but I thought it was entertaining. As usual, Darwin was the key.
Darwin, I I was very excited when I saw Darwin get arrested. That was definitely a highlight of the series for me.
I'll
Unfortunately,
bet it was.
yeah, unfortunately, it turned out that even though he was a traitor, he was justified in feeding information to the enemy and was immediately released.
His heart was in the right place.
Yes. Yes, his little mammalian heart.
Exactly.
Oh, and I'd miss it, by the way, but over in Sci-2, Kathleen Kennedy made an appearance saying that
Oh,
SeaQuest was her idea and that we're welcome. So thank you, Kathleen Kennedy. That was a wonderful piece of trivia that I did not know, though somewhat
what would we
doubted.
do? What would we do without you?
Yeah, just the entire world would be such a different place without Madam Kennedy. And Chief Cook, you are correct. This series was canceled too early. I could definitely see them
Yes.
having many more seasons of SeaQuest. And honestly, I do feel like maybe this is another show that suffered from the mid 90s writer's strike. Like, I don't know if the timing works out for that, but it does seem like they had a pretty significant uh, tone shift as maybe some writers were swapped out. And we were talking about this last night and the night before, but shows like um, Sliders and Heroes. Well, Heroes was much later, but they had the same thing happen in the early aughts. But they're Andromeda. They were all shows that were airing around this time that either the writer's strike happened or just by serendipity, as in Andromeda's case, the writers were fired and new writers brought in, and the show just tanked because they didn't know what to do with the characters anymore. I suspect SeaQuest may have had some of that happen. Either the writer's strike or just new writers who didn't know what to do with the characters. I mean, already season 2 has a tough hurdle because John, like you told me in the past, they moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, was it?
Yes. Yeah, the second season was filmed largely in Florida.
Okay, so yeah, so a lot of the actors were either unable or unwilling to make that move. So we bring in all these new actors, and that is a harsh, harsh hurdle to get over. Because any Doctor Who fan will know that once you replace the main character, you have a solid year of people not liking any of the new character. And once you get past that year, people start to accept people, but man, that it's a hard hurdle to get past that year. And Chief is saying that it was the writer's strike. I'm not surprised at all, Chief. That's entirely in line with what I would expect. And the Mold Like Gunman is saying that yes, the writer strikes and writer change-ups kill the momentum of the show. It really does. Like in Andromeda's case, John, were you a fan of Andromeda?
No, I never watched it.
Okay, it is worth the watch. I'm not sure where it's streaming, but it is worth finding out where it's streaming and watching it. But the general premise of what happened was you had Captain Dylan Hunt, aka Kevin Sorbo, amazing, wonderful Kevin Sorbo, who he was the captain of this flagship called the Andromeda for whatever their federation was called. I think it was a union or something. And there's a race of people called the Nietzscheans, and they at the last second, like out of nowhere, they betrayed the Federation. And in this fight that happens in like the opening scene of the pilot episode, the Andromeda gets too close to a wormhole, and they're effectively stopped in time. So you have Dylan Hunt and his first officer, who was a Nietzschean, just frozen in time above the ground, mid swing, kind of Rocky 3 ending freeze frame thing. And then finally, you get like this salvage ship come up, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we have the technology now to pull them away." So they pull them away from the wormhole. Dylan Hunt beats the Nietzschean, and he's found that the Federation or Union is gone. The Nietzschean's betrayal has just left the universe in shambles, and so the whole point that Dylan Hunt wants to do is to rebuild this Federation again, this coalition of planets, because the universe is just crap now. And in fact, it's not just crap. Like there's no. It's kind of like all of a sudden you have Kazon everywhere. The level of technology dramatically drops, such that the Andromeda is the pinnacle of technology in this area. So you had this wonderful storyline, and it was a truly amazing ensemble cast where different characters got different attention, everyone got screen time, and then it was either going to the second or third season, I don't recall, but depending on which source you listen to, either Kevin Sorbo didn't like the fact that he wasn't getting enough attention and he demanded that the writers be fired and he be given all the attention, or, and this is what I personally believe, the writers, the powers that be decided that they wanted Dylan to be more the focus, and the writers were unwilling to do that and were let go. And so so in real life, Kevin Sorbo was left to pick up the pieces, and so he did the best he could to promote things, to keep things moving, to keep the peace, and as a result, he got blamed for a lot of the bad stuff. Like they're like, oh well, Kevin Sorbo is just he's the devil basically. So that's in a nutshell what happened with Andromeda. So whenever the main writers left, it became the Dylan Hunt show. The ensemble cast became more of supporting characters, like STD. Exactly, Thomas. It became like STD, a ship thrown into the future, starring one central character. That's exactly what happened to it. But unfortunately, it really deteriorated. The people just didn't know what to do with these characters, these wonderful characters. And Chief Cook is saying that Michael Ironsides was amazing. I forget who that was.
Well, I think he's mentioned him because he shows up in season 3.
Oh, okay. And Robert wants to know who remembers the 80s NFL strike. They brought in scab players, and it was probably the worst season of NFL history. I don't. What year in 1980 was that? Late to then 1980s?
I have no idea.
Let's see, NFL 1980s strike. Was it literally 1980? It was 1982. So yes, I was not quite yet born in 82. And had it happened in the late 80s, I probably would not have been interested in it. And Chief is saying that Michael Ironsides was Kevin. He was Kevin was just like Rick Berman.
I think he's trying to say that Kevin Sorbo had a role like Rick Berman.
Oh, okay.
On Andromeda.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Multi-Gunman was 7 in 1982, and Dylan's Hot Topic saying that Marvel got the rights back to the Defenders. That's pretty cool. I didn't watch the Defenders on Netflix. I was so put off by Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones. It was a pretty decent first season where David Tennant was Kilgore, the main bad guy. But it was a little too dark for my taste, and I absolutely hated Iron Fist. So I really didn't pay attention to the Defenders, but I did hear that it was actually a pretty decent TV show, and I'm glad to hear Marvel has it back because Marvel, they do a really good job. So hopefully they make things. Hopefully they make things good with the Defenders.
So Thomas was asking, do you want John to watch Andromeda with a review like that? It's a very good question.
Ooh, that is a good question. It would have to be after Babylon 5 with Jeff, if he's still up for it. So if Professor Brainy Specs is still up for Babylon 5, once we get done with SeaQuest, that's the next on my to watch list. Which I'm quite excited about that. But after that, Yeah, I would love to watch Andromeda. We can keep this
How many
going
seasons
forever.
was that?
Andromeda, maybe 4 seasons.
Okay.
Let's see, Andromeda TV show.
Although, yeah, that's not actually what Thomas meant, but that's fine.
It was 5 seasons, amazingly enough.
I think what Thomas meant was the way you explained what happened to the show. Do you really expect him to watch it after that?
Oh, I hope so, Thomas. Because, like I said, even though they went to a weird direction, it is still a really good show. And even when it became the Kevin Sorbo show, it still had a lot of fun episodes. And I mean, the last season you watched just because of how great the first 4 was, to be quite frank. They undoubtedly had some good episodes in it. I'm probably being too harsh. It's just, my goodness, they set up so much great stuff in the first 4 seasons, and then season 5, it just wrapped up kind of unsatisfactory. Unsatisfactory? That is not a word, but I think you know what I mean. But with all that, I did mean to wrap up quite a bit ago. But you guys do this to me every time. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wrap up, and then someone says, "Oh, and by the way, here's this really interesting topic. Let's talk about it." And you get me distracted, and here I am 20, 30 minutes later. But let's do go ahead and wrap this up. Chief Cook saying that Gene's son owns the right to Andromeda. I think he owns a lot of the rights to Gene stuff. I think so. Daniel's saying there's a few DC movies starting production or filming: Wonder Woman 3, Aquaman 2, Black Adam, and Flashpoint. Hopefully they're all good, and hopefully they don't just erase the Snyderverse. I know that's something we've been talking about the past couple days, Daniel, and I'm right there with you. I don't want the Snyderverse to go away. I just want them to start making it more cohesive. And Thomas Potts, I did not watch the Falling Skies trailer. I still have it pulled up. I just haven't watched it yet. I will absolutely try to do that before I reboot my computer tonight. But with all that said, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. John, thank you as always for being a part of this. And I look forward to doing this again next week with y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.